welcome to Hard Drive Online and the DL podcast. I'm sitting here today with our friends Red Sun Rising. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
How are
What's
you?
up, Roxy? How are you?
How are you?
Why don't you introduce yourselves for the folks out there that are watching?
I'm Dave, play guitar and vocals. I'm Mike, vocals and guitar.
And I'm Ricky, bass and vocals.
And I'm Ryan Williams, guitar.
Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for doing the Hard Drive Live tour. I mean, this really means a lot to us. You guys are...
No, we're glad to be there.
Yeah, thanks for having. This is our second one. Second Hard Drive Live tour.
Right. I totally forgot
Yeah.
that because you did a couple of dates with Trivium.
It was All That Remains and We Came as Romans.
Wow, I totally forgot that. My bad.
No, that's all right.
Where were those shows? They weren't here, right?
No, they were all over the
Yeah,
place.
they were kind of scattered, yeah.
Out west, I think, right?
Yeah, some of it.
It was another good one, though. So thank you for having us.
Well, congrats. I know Emotionless has been number one for a little bit. Kicked out Disturbs, The Sound of Silence. So
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Which is a song we almost covered.
Yep.
That's true, yeah.
We were going to until we heard the Disturbed version,
Yeah.
and we decided not to.
Like, dang.
Not because we didn't think we could do as good of a job, but because we can't do it twice.
Well, I think it's interesting because the way they're doing it on the road is very cool. They're inviting, different little orchestra,
Yeah.
Yeah.
members to come and join
cool.
them. And it's very cool.
Yeah,
It's
we
very-
played with them a lot this year. Great band, great guys, too.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. So, I mean, when you look back at this, past year, I mean, do you walk around pinching yourself sometimes? You are the first independent band with a debut record to have the first number one, to have a number one single. I mean, that really is unheard of. And and you followed it up with a second. So, hello.
Yeah,
I think
pretty
it's still
intense.
sinking in, right?
I think the thing is that we've just been on the road so continuously that we just focus on the next day and the next show. So it's not like we found out and we were able to really celebrate. It was just kind of like, well, we have a show tomorrow, so
You
that's
know what,
cool.
though? I find myself doing this, like, if I am in a bad mood or I wake up, I didn't get a good night's sleep, and we got to hustle to load, I remind myself a little bit, like, this is going very, very well. So, yeah, and it's nice to have something like a record like that, right? Do we get a medal or something? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, some
Ra-
kind of,
Hopefully Razor and Ties sends something. We haven't got anything yet.
Right.
There'll be I imagine there'll be a gold record somewhere down the line.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you.
yeah.
There you go. So I'm noticing on your socials there's something called #WeAreThread. Could someone explain?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were kind of new on the scene when we released the record. We've been a band for a long time, but everyone kind of wanted to know where'd you come from, what were your influences, how did you develop this sound, and we found that when we were answering that question, what our influences were, that they were all over the place, everywhere from the Beatles and Otis Redding all the way up to Tool and System of a Down, and we kind of try to take a little bit of every era and a thread from that, if you will, and we kind of just thread it together, which is kind of where the term thread came from, and it kind of represents an anti-genre in a way. So we've always made a rule in this band that we're never going to write for a genre. We're just going to write music that we love, no matter what it sounds like. If it's a heavy song, if it's a soft song, it doesn't matter. So thread kind of represents that, our albums are always going to be eclectic and be all over the place.
Well, it's funny, when the record came out, and we see this, we see the artwork, which is really unique and different. But then we hear the album title, we're like, Polyester Zeal. So you have to ponder that for a moment.
Yeah.
You're like, where did you guys come up with that?
There was a song we wrote, and it's not on the record, ironically, maybe the second, but polyester zeal. Polyester is like a cheap, easily obtainable fabric, and zeal is something that you strive for. And kind of the story behind the song was, as we strived for the real zeal, the things we really wanted, we were dressing our wounds in polyester zeal as we scraped through to get what we really wanted. So once we got to make the record that we always wanted to do and get some national exposure, we thought it'd be a fitting title. Here we are.
Let's kind of rewind a little bit and take us back to the early days of the band, which I would believe would be
I like
all
the
the
way
way
you said
back.
that.
Which I believe would be what, high school?
Yeah.
Mike and I went to high school together. Didn't really know each other though.
Yeah, we had some mutual friends, but
Yeah.
didn't know each other. And he had a band in high school. I had a band in high school. And as we started moving towards college, I stopped doing music for a while. I started concentrating on school, and he was still doing his band. And one of my buddies that knew him was like, "Hey, they're looking for a singer. You should try out." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't really like singing. I like playing guitar." And
I bump into him at a gas station.
Yeah.
Never met him, or didn't think that I had met him. And we had all these terrible vocal auditions, right? Some of the craziest people. I had a stalker. No kidding, a stalker. But I don't remember exactly how this went down. We tell it two different ways. I don't know if I was drunk, but I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, do you sing?"
yeah, it was
He said-
really, really strange out of the blue.
He said no. But
Yeah,
I got
it's-
his phone number anyway because that's what I do at gas stations. And he hit me up like 4 months later, and we laid it on him thick. You know, he was gonna come down. He had to do Led Zeppelin, and he had to do Alice in Chains. And it's like, okay, so if this dude can sing that, he can sing. You know, and he did, and he killed it. And the weird thing was, I was looking for a singer for the band I had, and he ended up being my songwriting partner, and we took this thing to a whole nother place. And it's been how long?
Probably 10 years now. Almost 10 years.
So at what point in doing all of this, how did you come to the attention of, how did it work out? Did you have management first? You had label first? I mean, how tell you?
We had management first. The weirdest thing is it just felt like such a long road because we were independent for a long time. Ryan and I would book our own tours. We would manage the band. We even had fake, or we had like aliases. We'd use our middle name and our mom's maiden name. So I was James Cole and he was Freddie Shepard, and we would book the band as those guys. We'd call it like,
you
like
can't
New
book your
York
band as your
accents and
own.
stuff.
You know, hey, we're really good.
Yeah.
No one listens to that.
So we used to do that stuff all the time, and
Freddie Shepard.
you know, we just kept knocking on doors, and Elevation was our first management company, and I remember we met them probably 5 years ago, and we were just a small band doing some things, making some noise in Akron, but not really nationally. And they were like, "Yeah, guys, you know, we can't really help you right now at this point, but, you know, keep us updated." And we did. Every couple months, we were like, "Hey, we just got this gig," or "We just opened at the House of Blues 4 times this month." We finally got them to come out and see us, and it got to a point where they're like, "You know what? You guys got it, and I think we can help you now."
Yeah.
And
And Emotionless, actually,
yeah.
we were playing with Candlebox at, a lot of people don't know this. In fact, nobody knows this, I don't think. We were playing with Candlebox at the House of Blues, and Kevin Martin approached Mike and I and said, "Hey, I'd like to produce some songs." So we started sending him all this backlog stuff we had saved in our computers, on cassettes, whatever, and he pulls out this tune called Emotionless. He said, "You guys should do this." And once we did, we sent it out, and that's when everything really came together for us, because we got thumbs up from the radio world, and, you know, we said, "This is great." So we moved with that.
Yeah, and then Razor and Tie came on end of 2014, and the coolest thing about Razor and Tie is that there were some other labels, you know, interested, and we were supposed to go on a Pop Evil tour. It was our first like support tour, and we were supposed to play the Gramercy Theater, and that was going to be like our showcase for all these labels. And Razor and Tie's like, no, we're going to fly into
flew out to
Akron and see
Akron.
them. And that meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
That the president of the company flew to Akron to see us in a little club, and that meant a lot to us. We're like, wow, these guys, they really want us. So that was
The
cool.
Empire Concert Club, too. We still rehearse there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric.
Give me some free tattoos, Eric.
What's up, Eric? Help me out.
You know, it's so hard nowadays for a new band to, you know, get things rolling and get noticed. I mean, what did you find was the most important? I mean, if let's say someone out there is listening and they have a band and they're trying to figure out, you know, how do we make things happen? What would you say? What advice would you give?
I would first off say, don't change your music for anybody else. You know, and what's the point, really, if you do that and you do get some success out of it? You know what I mean? That worked out really well for us. We had a lot of opportunities before Razor and Tie to work with some labels and really compromise the integrity of what we were trying to do, and we didn't want that. You know, we wanted to dive in head first with what we had. And I'd say the second thing, would you say, is just perseverance.
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, we opened, as soon as we would meet someone like, hey, this guy works for Live Nation, we'll be like, let's see how far up the chain we can get with this guy. Like, it became a goal, and we would send emails, and we would, almost daily. And it's like, eventually you would find a dead end. It's like, oh, we can't help you any further. Then you'd find another guy, and you'd try to go up that chain, and eventually somebody's going to say yes. And, that and just being honest with yourself as a musician. If we watch, still today, we watch shows back like game film.
Like
Like,
game
hey,
film,
this is
yeah,
weird.
absolutely.
Don't do that anymore. Or like,
Right.
this you're not hitting that.
Just gotta
But if
critique
you're
it.
honest with yourself, because you get off stage and people are like, you're great. But if you can be honest with yourself and listen to yourself and say, that sucked, then you can get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to be honest with yourself as a musician. I think that's very important.
We had a pretty big month too. I think we read this thing. I remember we were frustrated at one point, and we read this thing that like the common denominator amongst like the greatest, most creative minds of all time, and Einstein and Da Vinci, was supposed to be that they did their best work in the morning because that's when they were the most open, and then they would stop. So we started doing that at like 6:30 in the morning for months, right? And Mike took it a little more seriously than me because I wouldn't wake up.
He was late
And
every
would
day.
he would just kick
was
my
late
door
every
in.
day.
And
It was
seriously,
terrible.
we did that for months, and we would write and book, and I don't think we ever wrote more music and had more success, getting into the music industry than we did doing that little routine. It was great.
That's awesome. So then, all right, so you get out to L.A. and with Bob Marlette, very famous, legendary producer.
The legend. He prefers Robert Marley.
Yeah, that's what we call him.
No, that's what we call him.
Hello, Robert.
I love it. So how did you find that experience? I mean, here you are, a bunch of guys from, Akron, although I don't know where you're from, but
We'll
you're
get
from.
to you guys. Don't worry. They're quiet now.
Right.
We're getting there
Hello.
in the story.
Yeah, when you get to the sex, drugs, and rock and roll part, that's where these guys are going to chime in.
We bring the handsome. It's all right. It's all right.
But I mean, working in LA, you're right in Hollywood. I mean, there's a lot of distractions. So, I mean, how did you keep focused?
I think the coolest part for us was, being a band for so long and recording so long, between school and work, you always had to find that extra time to go into the studio. So we would be doing stuff at 3 or 4 in the morning just to get studio time and going around schedules. But that was the first time ever that we felt like a true musician. We got to wake up every day and had nothing else to do other than write and record music. And I think that's...
Yeah, we didn't need to focus. We were too excited about the opportunity
so
to wake
excited
up,
to just play
have
music
a cup
every
of
day.
coffee, and just write music, And Bob, I mean, the first time we walked in, we would shake his hand, and I hug. He's that kind of guy. He's that kind of family. The family's amazing, and we felt at home right away. And
Yeah.
that's just how they do it over there. And it was a great choice. We went through a lot of people. We talked to a lot of producers, and we never met Bob, but this just real surly guy called me on the phone, just all goofy, and we loved him. So that was it.
Yeah.
Now, he's also, helps bands write songs. Did he help you write at all, or did you
know,
kind of
it was
stay out of it?
The coolest thing about Bob is he didn't try to change our sound at all, and I think that's why we went with him in the first place. He just one of the things that he said to me when we were kind of like interviewing him is he said, "You guys have all the tools to make a great record. I just need to show you how to use them." And we're like, "Wow, that's great." He doesn't want to change us. He wants to, and he did. He taught us, the biggest thing he taught us, and he'd use this phrase, is to not go past the exit. So like when we were on an idea, he knew when to say, "Stop. That's it. Don't go any further on this idea. That is it."
Yeah.
And that's what he taught us.
Yeah. He also, what else he did it too is he taught us that every single part of the song is a moment in the song. And sometimes when you're writing, you get so excited because we think we have this massive thing that we love, this chorus so much, or this riff, or that maybe we just didn't pay enough attention to every little detail. And he's big on that. And we definitely grew there as a songwriter. So yeah, if anybody ever wants to work with somebody, Bob Marlette's amazing.
So I remember because you had spoken with Lou on the phone, and you
Love
talked
Lou.
about Lou's awesome. Hey Lou, you talked about how Emotionless came about. Why don't you kind of reiterate that story for everybody watching?
It was kind of a reoccurring dream, and it was really weird. I would just see these images of a woman, and I knew I had like a love for this woman, but I didn't know who it was. It was one of those dreams where you don't know who it is. It's kind of faceless, and I couldn't tell if she was sleeping or if she was dead. So I started like just kind of thinking about it, and the words motionless and emotionless came about, and I started just, when is that? When are those two things in common? It's either when you're sleeping or when you're dead. And so we built the song around the visual of it, and I showed Ryan the lyrics, and we sat down and worked it out on an acoustic guitar, and it just kind of, it actually happened really quickly.
I remember playing that song for our drummer's dad at the time, and he was like, "This is the one. This is going to be huge for you guys." And we were like, and we just never
That
did
was like-
anything
that
with
was
it
like
for
8 years ago,
Oh,
too.
so long ago, yeah. You were right, Mr. Gendersack.
Thanks, man.
All right, Ricky, it's your turn. I mean, let's talk about how you got involved with the band.
I think I got the phone call from Ryan, or was it you?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember
I
either.
think that's
But it
irrelevant.
was
Just
Ryan.
keep
But
moving on.
yeah, they were in L.A. at the time, and they asked me.
This is during the recording of the record.
Yeah, and I think I had a few days, and I flew to L.A.
For his first time ever.
Yeah,
First time on a
Flying.
plane.
first time on a plane too. So so I was kind of nervous and
He's
stuff.
skipping the part that Ricky was this like gnarly Freddie Mercury-esque, but like more punk rock and roll frontman of this band
Yeah.
called the Hobbs in Akron, right? So if you
I
wanted on a
guess.
Friday or Saturday night, you knew where to find them and you knew they were going to be playing.
Yep.
And you
It
were
was in
going to
Highland
be drunk
Square
and
in Akron, yeah.
debauchery, and he was going to be on the floor rolling around and whatever. And I don't think we knew he would do this. We wanted a vocalist in the band. He
Yeah.
didn't play bass in the band. I've never even seen him with a bass. And we called him, and I don't think it took you but 5 seconds. Yep.
I was so ready, to
Yeah.
get out of there. I was like, yes, I'll do it. So I sat down with that bass every day. and
I do
started
remember that phone call,
working
though. He
at
was
it.
at Guitar Center. He's like, should I quit my job now?
Yeah, should I quit now?
Can I
Get
just
me outta
leave?
here.
We're like, no, just finish your shift and everything.
Yeah.
Let's get everything worked out, man.
And then Bob sat down with him too, and they just worked out some of the bass stuff, so
Right.
they helped him dive into bass. And I think you were made for that instrument, personally. But
It's got that.
So groovy.
that
Kevin
groove,
Martin
man.
He is groovy.
Kevin
He's
Martin
so
did
groovy.
say that you played the bass like a ninja.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
I love it.
Appreciate that.
By the way, I didn't mean to pass over Kevin. He's awesome. I love him. He's one of my favorite people.
He's a
And-
He's a
Good
good
dude.
friend of ours.
it's good to see them back out because we get to see them more. I haven't seen them since Los Angeles, except for these festivals now.
Yeah, he's awesome. So Dave, the new guy, Dave,
Yeah,
noob.
relatively new guy.
Hey, dude.
Talk about how you stepped into the fold, and how long does it take for a new person to come into a band and have a little bit of a gel and a chemistry going?
Well, I think we had the gel before. The drummer Pat and I had a band out of Charlotte, and we were touring independently, and we actually came through Akron and met a couple of these guys were working at Guitar Center. It was just on a day off, and we ended up linking up with Red Sun Rising, and our band was touring with Red Sun Rising, and we were doing all these independent little club shows. And after all that fell apart, Pat moved out to LA, started going to their sessions, and me and him are best friends, so we always kept in touch. And I was like, what's going on out there? What are you guys doing? And he's like, I might join the band. I don't know yet. I'm going to the studio sessions. So I was like, all right, keep me posted. I hope you get it, because he was trying to get the gig, but at the same time, he was like, I don't know if
trying to play the cool
I
card.
don't know if it's
Yeah.
a good opportunity.
I'm not sure if it's for me, man.
But he ended up getting it, and I was super pumped, and actually moved from Charlotte back to Pennsylvania. And from there, these guys were touring around. I started hearing the other side on the radio, and I was like, oh, I should have joined that band because
We
Ryan
actually
called-
tried to
yeah,
get
Ryan
him for a couple of things.
Ryan
Drums,
called
bass.
me, yeah. Ryan called me when I was in Charlotte to join the band. He's like, oh, we got a deal. I can't tell you anything about it. And I was like, no. I was broke. Spent all my money for a new apartment. I was like, I can't do it right now. So maybe if he would have given me a couple more clues, I might have done it.
I
But
didn't
I'm
know
glad
what to tell
Pat's
you yet.
playing drums.
Yeah, me too.
So fast forward a little bit, hearing the song on the radio, and I was super bummed. I was like, I should have joined the band. I'm an idiot. That was it. And one day Pat called me. He's like, he actually texted me. He's like, Dave, you want to play guitar for Red Sun Rising? I was doing some flooring or something. I was like, what? Seriously? I was like, yes,
That's the
duh.
same reaction I had.
I know. I wanted to pick up this tile and smash it and walk out. Yes, I did. So then, anyways, we had to go through a long process, and I had to wait probably about 6 weeks to really
Yeah.
actually get into the band and start rehearsing with Ryan. But
We were out on hardDrive Live
Yeah.
and with Godsmack, and we were getting hit up. Like, why is Dave
No, that
McGarry?
wasn't hard. That wasn't Hard Drive Live. That was just Godsmack's
No,
tour.
before Godsmack. I'm
Yeah.
saying, but it was
Yeah.
that whole process. But yeah, and we didn't know how it was gonna work either. And he came to my house night one, and I remember, man, it was like I hadn't seen him in years, maybe 2, 3.
Yeah, 2
and
years.
yeah, I just hit it off like that. Gelled immediately on guitar. It just
Mhm.
then Ricky joined us, and down at Annabelle's we had a little rehearsal, and that was it. He's
Yeah,
in.
so these guys were on the road, and I was at home just watching YouTube videos and learning their songs by ear, just practicing, sending them videos. You guys were sending them wherever. Kind of my little audition thing. And eventually, yeah, we got together and started practicing. I think the full band had 2 practices
Yeah, I think so.
before my first show. So
Which was what?
I was in
Which
Nashville.
is
it was in
Nation
Nashville.
In Nashville.
Yeah,
Friend
so
of
I
the
kind of
Wolves.
got thrown right in there, but it took me a good, I'd say a good 2 months to actually feel super comfortable. I mean, just getting back on the road and back on the, let's say, big stage, I had to learn the muscle memory again and get my sea legs, moving. So it was fun, but now it feels great.
The coolest thing, though, is, and a lot of people don't know this, is that we did know Dave and Pat and Ricky for a very long time. So it wasn't just like we found these random guys and hired these guys.
Totally.
They're band members now, and we love them, and they're good friends of ours. So
That was important to us.
It's awesome
too. Good people we like.
Yeah, it's,
keep it together. Pat's not here, but he's one of the best guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Amazing drummer, and I'm sure you'll meet him later.
So now you guys have been on the road for, I guess, 4 months straight now.
Yeah.
Don't you miss your bed sometimes?
Oh yeah.
Every day.
Totally.
Every day, yeah.
How long does it take you to kind of unwind when you're on the road for this long? When
Instantly.
Not me. I just I get sick sometimes.
Really?
Because my body knows it can shut down finally. Because you're just go. And
Yeah.
sometimes for a week I feel like almost flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Not me. I wake up.
Same here.
I strut around my house in the nude. And just, ready to,
I think I sleep for
But
3 days straight.
But about 5 days into it, then I start getting antsy. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed
It's
to
like,
do
what should I
today?
do?
No one's
Yeah.
telling me what to do. What am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say that probably after a week or two
Yeah.
of getting stuff that you needed to get done at home for so long, and it's out of sight, out of mind. You get back on it, and then you're like, all right, after 10 days, I'm ready to leave. So
we didn't talk about the other side. Why don't you give us a little? Who would like to give us some insight into that tune?
That
Either
song,
one.
we were almost done with the record, weren't we?
Yeah.
Mike?
That was added late.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, our formula has always been one of us brings it to the table in some fashion, whether it be guitar or lyrics or whatever, and we finish it. I don't think barely ever do we just sit down with a 3-chord progression and just start to write, right? So that was kind of like a Bob Marlette challenge. Like, hey, before we finish this thing, it's just 3 chords. I'm leaving. Figure it out. So we did. I remember. I think we all kind of all together put the intro riff together and everything. But he went to run some errands and came back. Said, "How's it coming?" We were like, "We're done." It just
Yeah, it really did
came
happen
together
very naturally.
There was something going on personally with us, so the lyrics flew together. It just worked. I don't know. It was quick and it was last minute.
Which I think some of the best songs
Yeah,
do, because
totally.
you're not forcing it. And I think that was the point that Bob wanted to show us. Like, let's just see what you can do on a whim.
Yeah,
You
it
know
was good timing too. Go ahead.
It's funny. So many bands, I've done interviews with that have said, like the biggest song on the record ends up being the last one that they do that they didn't even think was going to be a single.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's funny how that happens. You did Uninvited for us acoustically. Talk about why you picked that song.
This band's always loved like 90s music, and it definitely there is that influence in our songs. But Alanis Morissette, it's always been everyone's loved her as an artist and me as a vocalist. She's amazing, and we wanted to do one of her songs. Always, Ryan and I talked to it for years, but we wanted to do something that was more of like a B-side that wasn't like a massive hit of hers. And that song it was dark, and we're big like Perfect Circle fans and stuff like that. So it was like, this song's cool. We could do a cool version of this, and we tried it, and people seem to love it.
Plus, it was kind of always in my rotation of music. Like, that's one of those songs where I'm listening to it, I'm in the zone. I don't want to be bothered. Like a Desperado from Seinfeld moment. Like, if I'm listening to Uninvited, don't come say anything to me. I'm like, get out!
Off in space.
I just want to listen to it. It's just a great, beautiful piece of material. So, and we had the challenge of turning it. It's only orchestral, right? So we had that challenge of turning that into a rock or a thread song.
Yeah.
But whatever, something that we could do without all those instruments. How do we make it our own? And we
Yeah.
did. It seems to be doing well.
Now, Are you writing anything? Do you guys like to write when you're on the road?
Always.
Always writing.
Always writing. Yeah.
It sucks because we haven't really had a time to, do anything as a band. So it's like people just every day, I say people, but the band members every day are just kind of bringing parts like, hey, I have this new riff, and like, oh, cool, that's cool. Like, hey, I have this lyric. So it's like we have all these pieces of things, and but we're always writing, and we do have some songs that as soon as we get an opportunity, we'll put them together as a band and start moving forward. But we're always writing.
I mean, is there a plan when you're going to want to start your next record?
There's no time frame yet, but again, we've always been like that, always writing. I think we walked into that first record with 80 tunes. And we're interested to see, though, how this goes with these guys. We have these singers, these writing members of the band, and, I don't know. We're already bouncing off some of their ideas. So hopefully it just takes us in opens us up, bigger, better direction.
It's okay for us to talk about this next thing.
It is?
So don't get nervous.
Okay.
I know you have a great fall tour coming up
Oh.
with another band.
They told you about Metallica already?
Yes, exactly.
Jeez.
But I know we're not supposed to say anything to anybody else. No, but but let's talk about getting ready to tour the fall, what you've got up your sleeves, and what's happening beyond that.
Yeah, we're gonna be going out with Pop Evil and 3 Doors Down, which
we're
is
very excited about.
Very excited about. And
we just got to meet the 3 Doors Down guys.
They are fantastic
Yeah,
people.
wonderful
fantastic. And they made us feel welcome right away, and we know already that it's going to be a enjoyable tour.
Yeah. The Pop Evil guys, I mean, we've
known
countless shows, so we're already all bonded and hanging out.
tight.
And, yeah, we're really looking forward to this one. Plus, for the first time, I don't even remember when the last time we played Akron was, but we're going to play the new Goodyear Theater in our hometown, which is like walking distance from my house with 3 Doors Down and Pop Evil, and it should be a blast.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. It's going to be amazing. I think that's August 28th.
Yeah.
Is the one in Akron.
You must be excited about that.
I'm stoked.
We
I'm
haven't
so
played,
excited about
I
that.
mean, we got to a point in Akron where we could do venues like that ourselves, but it was really there mostly, and to be able to go back and do it this way in the summer, and then hopefully come back during the holidays would be great. We miss those people in that crowd, and we still see their support on social media every day. So
Awesome. What was the coolest thing a fan ever said? You do a lot of meet and greets, I'm sure. What's the most interesting thing maybe a fan, revealed to you about how your music affects them?
We were in Arizona, and a guy came up to me and said that the record helped him get through his son battling cancer every day. And he was very emotional, and it became very emotional for me. Obviously, this guy kind of broke down, and that was a point where you're like, you created something bigger than just noise.
Yeah.
Right. And you realize what it really meant to someone else, and that's incredible.
I think mine was walking into. We had a really big fan, Liz and Tim Lovell, and Liz passed away. And we walked in, and not only were our lyrics on her, like whatever the memorial kind of sheet, but it's on her tombstone. And it's from a song that I don't think the country's heard yet, but they certainly knew. And to have our lyrics kind of immortalized that way, I mean, it's still, like, even talking about it.
Yeah, it gives you chills. It's like, it's hard to talk about.
It's crazy.
I'm going to start crying. It's funny. I was looking at Dan Donegan's Facebook this morning, and I started crying. Like he surprised his son, who was having his first communion.
Oh,
and,
really?
And
Cool.
so he walks in with his phone,
awesome.
and he's doing all the thing. And I'm sitting there, I watch it. This. I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but I'm watching it this morning, and I'm like sitting in there, I'm crying. I was like, this is like too much. I can't.
That's great.
I get very.
We just played
verklempt.
with them in Tampa, right? And a couple shows, and I hadn't met him yet, and I know him obviously by name and reputation, but I don't know that if I saw him in person I would know, and of course I didn't. Dave's like, hey, this is Ryan from the band, and there's this guy. He said, hey man, I love this song, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh cool man, thanks. What's your name? Dan Donegan. And it's like, oh god, I feel like an idiot, man. I'm like, I used to have one of your guitars when I was a kid, man. That stuff like that is really cool for us, man. The respect given from the guys that have led the way for us and are teaching us a lot of things along the way. That has been amazing. So
If you guys weren't musicians, what do you think you would be doing? And I know you'd be working at Guitar Center, so.
Probably still. But I don't know. That's a good question.
Drugs.
Yeah.
I was in school for architecture. I was planning on doing that, and I'd probably be doing that right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I would be doing like home remodeling, like flooring.
I'd be hiring him for
construction stuff.
my homes.
Well, before you leave town, I'm bringing you over to my place because I need some tiling
Yeah.
done on my kitchen floor. Is a mess. Don't ever do slate on your kitchen floors.
Nope.
Yeah, I know. It was a bad move. I really wanted it. It's bad idea. Okay, what do you want to say to fans out there?
Thank you for all the support.
Yeah.
We love you. If you see us and you want to say hi, please do. We actually enjoy that kind of attention.
Yeah, we
so.
do. Also, if you're a new fan, we encourage you to look past the singles and actually listen to the record. I think there's a little something for everybody on there.
By the way, who did the artwork on the record?
His name was Douglas Granger, who's a friend of me and Rick's, and Ryan knows him too.
Worked with him.
And yeah,
He's
but
from Akron,
but
too.
we kept in touch with him more, and he actually is a cartoonist, like for political cartoons, and something about his artwork, he always made the characters like real quirky and weird, and we're like, I think he could do an awesome job, and the artwork actually is downtown Akron. That's Main Street in downtown Akron where we're from, and there's little things in there
Little
that
jokes,
are Akron,
little
little
things.
jokes, and
Bob Marlette's in there.
yeah, Bob Marlette's in there. Our old tour manager and good friend Dave Purcell is in there, and there's
Dave.
a piano with no black keys. There's some rubber tires, so there's some Akron isms in there.
I love it. No black keys. Of course, black keys are from Akron.
Thanks for watching this interview with Red Sun Rising. Those guys killed it on the Hard Drive live tour, so make sure to get their album Polyester Zeal. For everything new with Red Sun Rising and everything new in the world of hard rock, download the app, like us on Facebook, and make sure to subscribe. This is Lou Brutus, Free in the Pit.
Anything, you don't own me. I will not forget. Don't burn in